Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem of my Blitz game number 843. I had the white pieces and started off with knight f3, hoping to play some kind of reti opening, but my opponent goes c6. You can see that's pretty far down on the list, but seems to be a playable move. I went c4, and that seems to be one of the main moves here, c4 or e4, but I was still trying to get some kind of reti-like setup. But after d5, I kind of decided just to go back into a Queen's Gambit declined Slav defense with the d4. So we just transposed into this familiar opening. And then once again, my opponent plays a very unusual move here. If you're going to bring the bishop outside the pawn chain, normally you take here and then bring the bishop to f5. You take here and bring the bishop to f5 like that. That's kind of the normal way of playing the Slav if you want the bishop outside the pawn chain. There actually is a problem with this bishop g4 move, and the move I played, e3, is not really refuting it. The way to get the strongest move against that bishop is to play this move knight e5, which you see, in the database it's only played once versus e3 played 8 times. I suppose that's because e3 leads to more familiar territory, but this is really the stronger move. The bishop has to move again, the knight is well posted, and the bishop doesn't have so many great squares to run to. So, so this gives quite an edge to white and explains why that move bishop to g5 is not seen so often in this particular position. And it's an idea that I've mentioned before, but I always forget it, or I often forget it. I don't say I always forget it, but many times when the bishop is coming out before this pawn is moved, there's no pin here, and so knight e5 is just the most natural response to that, and I should really have that more ingrained in myself. But anyway, I missed it once again. I played e3 here. And then if he were to play knight f6, it looks like we've transposed into some kind of mainline position, but instead he goes with e6. I go knight c3, normal development, and then he goes a6. And at that point, we really are outside of the opening book. So anyway, and white has an edge, I suppose because black has played a lot of pawn moves, but it's not a huge edge. So I kick the bishop, and then I play bishop e2. And this is the first really interesting moment of the game where I have kind of a tough decision to make. I mean, well, there was that earlier moment where I didn't even think about the knight e5 move. I should have at least thought about it. But this is an interesting point where I have to decide if it's worthwhile sacrificing a pawn here. The chess engine prefers this way of playing. It would take with the bishop and just play this as a pawn sack. In fact, it would immediately play b3, which pretty much guarantees that white is going to be down a pawn for a long period of time here. But, white has those 3 moves of development. That's the old rule of thumb. If you get 3 moves of development in exchange for a pawn, then it's worthwhile. And in fact, the chess engine rates this position as favorable for white. I've got also some immediate pressure on the b pawn here, so I'm going to get castled if he moves that pawn. So I'm going to maintain that three-piece edge in development, and he's got no pieces out at all. But I would still have to figure out how to play actively and accurately to win that game. But anyway, that does lead to an advantage to white, and that's the correct move there, according to the engine. I took back with a pawn, and I think this also leads to an advantage for white. The thing is that white has the bishop pair, and with the bishop pair you want open lines. There's also a rook coming to this open file. So the fact that my king side is messed up is not such a big problem here, and so I think this is a decent position for white as well, but the chess engine would play the other way. Okay, so he develops knight f6. I go rook g1, goes g6, and I go e4. So I'm just going to grab some space in the center. He trades off on c4 and then plays bishop to g7. So I go bishop to g5, pinning the knight, and now up to this point, black still has a playable game. I mean, I'm very happy with white's position here. I'd rather have white over black, but But black can still hold on in this position. There's no reason for black to lose. The chess engine would play a move here like queen c7, or maybe queen to b6, taking a look at this pawn. Both of them with some edge to white, but not an overwhelming advantage. And there's no problem unpinning that knight. The knight is defended by the bishop, so the queen is not needed to defend it. So this is just a careless move, this immediate castling here. And it loses a piece. There's no way around it. He tried some tricks. Played b5. I just dropped my bishop back, and he played b4. Actually, by the time he plays b4, he's making matters worse. Chess engine would just go back to development and play it like this. Say, I lift up the queen so I can castle, start pushing these pawns forward, and then I eventually take. It's funny how the chess engine doesn't take back right away, but delays. I mean, it doesn't grab the material right away, but as white delays before playing that. Then I could castle queenside here, and you know, it's maybe a +2 edge for white in the chess engine's estimation. Anyway, when he pushes on with b4, it kicks my knight to a good square. I mean, this is just allowing me to get more pressure on the pinned piece, so that's why b4 is just a move in the wrong direction. Let's see, knight bd7 defending, and I go ahead and take with the pawn at this point, and the chess engine finally approves that I should go ahead and take that. Then he went knight f6, and I kept trading. Actually, the chess engine likes the move rook to g4, which at first looks very strange to me, but it's lending an extra defense to the d pawn there, I guess. I don't know what's so great about it after. Well, I guess after h5, the rook can come here. So it's not getting trapped up there. But anyway, it does look like kind of a strange move to me. Or another idea here would be rook to c1. Both those moves the chess engine prefers over continuing the exchanges. But of course, this does leave me with a winning edge and a simplified position. So I don't think there's anything particularly bad about the way I played. And then once again in this position, the chess engine likes rook g4. Just bring another defender over for the d pawn. Let's see, I went queen d3 so I could castle and get in a defender that way. So that's what happened. He attacked the pawn, I defended it. And let's see, he throws in a check. Run to king b1. He goes c5. And here he's taking advantage of the pin, so I can't take, but I can push, and that is the best move here. And then when he takes, I can actually just take back with my bishop. He doesn't have time to really exploit the pin on the bishop because, well, say for example, if he brought his queen back here to maintain the pin, and or maybe here to just put more pressure on the bishop, I can unpin by moving my queen to the side and still maintain control over that piece, over that square. So it's not going to be a problem. So what did he try here? He played a5. I went queen e4, so just unpinning immediately. And now he played queen c7. So there's a tactic in this position that I missed. So here's a chance for you to put on your thinking cap. What's the best move for white here? Okay, I'm going to give the answer away now. If you want some time to think about it, pause the video. But the best move here is definitely rook takes g6 check. If he takes, then you take back with the queen, taking advantage of that pin. And the king goes here. Let's see, you can check here, the king goes back, and you can bring the rook over. And that is curtains. You know, he can block once, I guess, but then he gets mated. So after rook takes g6, he has to just move his king to the side, and you've just opened up his king to a pretty huge attack here. Anyway, so rook takes g6 is a nice tactic. Actually, in this position, the queen could drop back to f6, and the game would continue. But anyway, I didn't take advantage of that tactic. After queen c7, I pushed on with h4, and he played a4, just rolling ahead on the queen side. I played h5, he went a3, and I just went ahead and took here. and I'm just breaking through against his king. He threw in one last move, rook takes d5, but I can just take that back, or I can throw in, the chess engine says it's strongest actually to take on f7. It is a double check. There's check from the pawn and check from the rook, so the king has to move to the corner, and then I can grab this rook here. If nothing better. Anyway, I'm a whole rook up and his king is exposed, so this is all going to be good for me. So kind of a short game, but fun. Hope you guys enjoyed the tactic, and I will see you later. Bye.